tender but severe, chaste but passionate, a delicate mind in the words of George Sand, with the beauty of a sad woman. It wasn't easy to describe Chopin, but apparently it was even harder to paint him. In this video, we'll sort 22 of his most famous portraits to find out why the heck they look so different. In the first tier, the imaginary portraits, artistic representations of Chopin made after his death. In the second one, the dubious portraits, including possible misattributions or falsifications. In the third tier, authentic historical portraits that weren't made from life. And finally, the historical portraits for which Chopin actually sit. Let's get to it. Number 1. One of the earliest portraits of Chopin at around 19. Real or fake? This is actually an authentic portrait of Chopin when he was still living with his parents in Warsaw. The artist Ambrosi Mieczyslaw was an acquaintance of the Chopin's family, and he also made portraits of his parents and two of his sisters, Ludwika and Isabella. The original portrait is lost, probably destroyed during the bombing of Warsaw in 1944 at the end of the Second World War, but some Polish scholars suspect that it was actually stolen by the German troops. The colored versions of this portrait that you can find today are just modern reconstructions. Number 2. Chopin at the piano, a historical portrait or fan art? Actually, both are correct. This drawing was made by an amateur artist, the young princess Elisa Radziwill, at around 1826, which means this is possibly the earliest surviving portrait of Chopin. In Radzivill's album, there was also the second portrait of Chopin, drawn by her a couple of years later. Number 3. Chopin playing for the Radziwill family. This happened during a visit to Berlin in 1829, during which Chopin composed for them his introduction and Polonie Brillante Opus 3. Is the painting authentic, though? It's just an artistic interpretation made many years later. Number 4. Chopin after arriving in Paris. There is not much information on this portrait, and we don't even know for sure who the painter was. The Fryderyk Chopin Institute considers it authentic, but it's unclear whether it was made from life or not. What do you think? Number 5. Friedrich von Chopin. This is a lithography made after a lost drawing by Pierre Roche Vigneron in 1833. And if you think this portrait isn't a great likeness of Chopin, you'll like to know that you aren't the only one. Chopin's family used to make fun of it because it looked too much like the former French Emperor Napoleon II. This lithography has been copied multiple times since, including this painting from 1905 that just finishes the job, making Chopin look even more Habsburg. Number 6. To me, the best portrait of Chopin, period. However, the story behind this painting is even more interesting. It was made by Maria Wojcinska, the 17-year-old genius from the aristocratic Wojcinski family. Chopin and Maria had been in love for about a year when they finally became engaged in Dresden, Germany in 1836. However, the marriage did not come about and the relationship was terminated 1 year later for unknown reasons. It's worth noting that Maria was one of the recipients of Chopin's famous Farewell Waltz. Number 7. The Evil Chopin from the Chopin Multiverse. This portrait is quite a mystery. Neither the author or the date have been confirmed, and I couldn't find anything about its context. Most sources assume that the man in this portrait is indeed Chopin, but how are we so sure about that? The old-fashioned style is also intriguing, and it doesn't look like any other portrait of Chopin from this period. For now, I'll consider this one as dubious. What do you think? Number 8. Pencil drawing of Chopin. This drawing was made by Luigi Calamatta around 1838. The same author made a second version that now belongs to a private collection in Mallorca, Spain, but sadly I wasn't able to find pictures of it online. Number 9. After Hours, Chopin. This painting, attributed to Thomas Couture, depicts a young man that may or may not be Chopin. The second option seems more likely to me. What do you think? Number 10. Chopin, the Romantic Hero. Probably the most famous portrait of the composer, but does that mean it's authentic? Yes, and it was painted by no other than Eugène Delacroix, the most important painter of the French Romantic school. The painting was left unfinished and it was originally bigger. It included a vertical piano and Chopin's lover, George Sand, sitting next to him. After Delacroix's death, the painting was split in half, and today all that remains are these two fragments. Number 11. Michael Caine, Chopin. Could this be the worst likeness of Chopin ever made? Apparently, it's authentic. It was made by the Belgian painter Louis Gallet in 1843, but it blows my mind how Chopin looks so different here compared to other portraits. I couldn't find information about the rolled paper in Chopin's hand. Is it some kind of diploma or maybe one of his compositions? Number 12. Another great likeness of the master. This is a well-known crayon drawing by Nicolas Tache-Morin, but it was probably not made from life. The drawing was made after this illustration by the same author, published in the French Gazette Musicale in 1842. In the picture, we can see a bunch of famous pianists of that time, most of them completely forgotten now except for these two guys in the middle. Number 13. Finally one that at least tries to look like Chopin. This is also a very well-known picture with which you've probably come across at some point. And it's not authentic. It's just an imaginary portrait made many years after Chopin's death. Curiously enough, the painting style imitates how portrait photographies were made in the second half of the 19th century. Number 14. An enigmatic and less unknown portrait of Chopin. I personally like the expression and the art style on this one. This painting was in the possession of Charles de Massat, a great admirer of Chopin, and it was later acquired by the pianist Alfred Cortot. According to the Fryderyk Chopin Institute, it was made by the Polish painter Teofil Kwiatkowski, but Cortot didn't agree and suggested the name of Luigi Rubio instead, based on the information from Chopin's letters. Number 15. Sideways drawing of Chopin. This is a work by Franz Xaver Winterhalter, drawn on May 2, 1847, the same day that Chopin's health suffered a serious decline, according to his letters. Years later, an anonymous painting was made after this drawing, possibly by Winterhalter himself or one of his students. Number 16. Chopin in his lost years. I personally enjoy the art style and the gravitas in this one, not to mention the radioactive background. This is an imaginary post-Chopin portrait made by Teofil Kwiatkowski. However, it's less imaginary than others, since the artist was actually a friend of Chopin's when he was alive. Number 17. This one is probably in the top 3 of the most reproduced portraits of Chopin, and it does a good job depicting how the illness affected him during the last years of his life. But is it authentic? Yes, this is a portrait made from life by Erich Scheffer in 1847, only 3 years before Chopin's death. An earlier version of this portrait showed Chopin sitting with his hands crossed, but the painting was destroyed in 1863 during the Polish January Uprising. Scheffer's portrait has been copied multiple times by different artists, and it's very likely that this recently rediscovered painting on the right is just one of those copies. Number 18. I didn't know this portrait until I made this video, but it's definitely one of my favorites now. I particularly like the relaxed style and how this is one of the few pictures that show Chopin smiling. Unfortunately... Never mind, this is an authentic portrait made by Henri Lehmann in 1847. Number 19. A portrait photography of Chopin. Is that even possible? Yep, allow me to introduce you to Monsieur Chopin. The daguerreotype technique, the antecedent of modern photography, had been around since 1839, but it wasn't really popular because of its low quality, and most people from that period still prefer the traditional handmade portraits. This daguerreotype was taken at around 1847 at the Bisson studio in Paris, and I find it fascinating how it confirms most of the Chopin's features with which we are already familiar thanks to the paintings. The crossed hands and defensive posture, the wavy greasy hair, the depressing look, and the slightly asymmetrical nose. A second authentic daguerreotype has also survived, but unfortunately it's very damaged. Number 20. Wait, a third one? This daguerreotype was recently rediscovered and has put the Chopin community upside down. Despite its poor quality, this daguerreotype shows a very detailed view of Chopin's face, making it an invaluable iconographic source. Except it's a scam. This is just a photography taken from an actual painting from the 1950s, as you can see here. Number 21. Chopin on his deathbed. This painting depicts Chopin's last moments in October 1849 with his family and friends, including his sister Ludwika on the left side. This painting was made later the same year after Chopin's death. The artist Teofil Kwiatkowski, that appears standing on the far right of the picture, was actually present during those last moments, so even if this was an artistic recreation, it wasn't completely made up. And number 22, another of those creepy made from death portraits. And this one is authentic. It was made by Teofil Kwiatkowski using Chopin's body as reference. Curiously enough, he made a second portrait from the opposite side, accounting for the famous Chopin's asymmetrical nose. So this is our final list. Do you agree with it? That's all for today. Let me know if this video was helpful, and see you next time.